Hey everyone, it's Pam, and today I'm giving you my thoughts on the Xbox Series 2 Elite controller. First, some general information about the controller. The manufacturer's suggested retail price is $229. Yikes. It can be used both on the Xbox One and on a Windows PC. You can connect it to your PC via Bluetooth or via the charging USB cord that comes with it. And Microsoft has said that it will be usable on the next generation hardware. The controller weighs 345 grams, which is quite heavy compared to a normal Xbox One controller. It has a headphone jack at the bottom here, and something that's very nice is that it does not use batteries. It is a rechargeable controller. You can plug it in with the included USB cord. I believe it's a USB-C, and Microsoft has said that the battery life is 40 hours long. I haven't tested exactly how long the battery lasts, if that 40 hours is true, but I haven't had any issues with it so far. I use it quite heavily and only put it on the charger about once a week. I've never, as of yet, had a low battery warning or my battery die on me. The general feel of the controller is great. It's nice and heavy and it feels good in my hands. The texture on the front is sort of smooth on the face of it, and then anywhere where your palms will touch it, it is quite textured, both on the front and the back. The triggers and the bumpers also are very comfortable. They start off smooth, but where your actual finger pads rest on the triggers, that is textured as well. Everything comes in this box, and as we take off the lid, we can see the carrying case that it comes with. This will keep your controller and all of its accessories together. It's very nice and sturdy and will keep your controller safe if you ever need to travel with it. Opening it up, and you can see the controller and that every accessory has its own little place, which is really nice. It comes with a total of 6 thumbsticks. The first 2 are similar to the ones on the normal Xbox One controller, with a smooth center and a textured grip around the outside. The D-pad is your standard D-pad, except it is metal instead of plastic. It also comes with a faceted D-pad, which you might find easier for some game genres. The other thumbsticks include 2 smooth thumbsticks. These are very nice and comfortable to use, though you may find them a bit slippery. There is also 1 tall thumbstick with the same kind of grip as the first 2 that I showed, and 1 short domed thumbstick, and this one is actually really nice. I kind of prefer it, and I really wish they had included 2 in here. There are 4 paddles which can be added to the back of the controller. I've already got 2 on them here. You can just snap them in very easily. You can have all 4 of them on, or just 1 or 2, or leave them off entirely, depending on your preference. And I just wanted to mention that if you're someone who likes to use thumbstick covers like Control Freaks or something, you shouldn't have any problem fitting them onto here. You can also physically adjust a couple things on the controller. You can do the pull distance of each of the triggers, as well as the tension on the thumbsticks. So there are 2 switches on the back, one for each trigger, where you can adjust the pull distance. So this one is set to the greatest distance, and you can see how much you need to pull that trigger in order to get it to fire. On the other side, with the smallest distance, it's very much a hair trigger. You barely have to touch it in order to get it to trigger. And then there's also a setting in the middle, and you can have them set differently for the left and the right trigger if you want. There is also a little key in the box which will allow you to adjust the tension on the thumbsticks. You just pop the thumbstick off, adjust it with the key. If you have it turned all the way to the left, it will be the loosest, so the least amount of tension when you're using the thumbsticks. If you do it 1 to the right, it'll be slightly more tense, and then 2 clicks to the right will have the most tension when you're moving those thumbsticks. And again, you can have different settings for left and right. The rest of the customizations can be done through the Xbox Accessories app. There are 3 different slots for 3 different profiles for the controllers, so you can have setups for multiple players, or if you want like one setup for racing games and one for shooters and one for platformers, then you can do that. The first tab here is the button mapping, so you can map buttons to other buttons if you want to change around what controls what. There are some really cool things you can do with this mapping screen. The first is that you can assign buttons to work as shift buttons. So if you hold one down and then hit one of your more primary buttons, it will give it a secondary function. And my favorite thing is that you can assign actions. So as you can see here, you can assign a button to launch an app or open a guide. The one place I find the Xbox lags behind the PS4 in terms of usability is how cumbersome it is to take a screenshot or record a clip of game footage. So I love that I can assign these actions to a button on my controller. It makes it so much easier. The next 2 tabs are to adjust the sensitivity curves on the left and right stick. There are some presets that you can choose from, and you can also adjust how the sensitivity is calculated. This is mostly for aiming and things. The next tab lets you adjust the dead zones on your trigger. This means the amount that you can start pulling the trigger before the system actually recognizes that you are making some kind of input. The vibration tab allows you to adjust the intensity of the vibration in 4 different places. There's each trigger and then the left and the right side. At the highest intensity, the trigger vibrations kind of sound like a jet engine taking off, so I make sure to keep those around the middle. The last tab is the brightness, and this is just the brightness of the Xbox button in the middle of the controller. This one's kind of annoying because it won't automatically update the brightness as you adjust it. You have to actually exit out of this screen before it'll take effect. But here is an example of it at its highest setting and its lowest setting. The controller comes with a charging block which sits and hangs on magnetically within the carrying case. There is also a slot at the back of the carrying case where you can plug in the charging cable. It is a 9-foot USB-C cable, so if you plug it in like this, then you can just sit your controller right back in the case and zip it up so it can charge, safe from dust and pet hair and things like that. If you don't want to charge it within the case, you can also just plug that charging cable directly into the controller. So this part is for anyone who has a Series 1 Elite controller or had one in the past. I did do a review of that a few years ago, back when it came out, and my thoughts on that were very positive. Now, I wanted to just say, after about 2.5 or 3 years, I did start experiencing a little bit of stick drift. It was already out of warranty, unfortunately, and it was not behaving as well as it was for the first 2 years, so that's something to just keep an eye out for. Apparently this one has been redesigned from the ground up, so I'm hoping that problem does not rear its ugly head with this controller. The only other thing I found with the Series 1 is that one of the sticks, the magnets that keep the sticks on, one of them, just the magnet got a little weaker. It wasn't like the stick was falling off or anything. It's just, there was definitely a difference between the left and the right, and one came off much easier than the other, which isn't a huge deal. I just wanted to disclose problems that I had with the Series 1 after I reviewed it. So just compared to the Series 1, I wanted to point out some of the differences. The first is that the texture is on the front of the controller as opposed to just the back as it was on the Series 1. The paddles are smaller, they don't stick out as much, meaning you're less likely to hit them accidentally. You can also have 3 different profiles when you're setting it in the Xbox Accessories app, as opposed to only 2 on the Series 1. In terms of the trigger pull distance, there are 3 settings on this one, whereas there are only 2 on the Series 1. You can adjust the tension of the thumbsticks, which you couldn't do before, and I think the biggest one is that you can charge this rather than having to replace batteries with use. And it uses a USB-C to charge it as opposed to a micro USB. So overall, I think that this is a fantastic controller and a pretty significant upgrade over the Series 1. Some of my favorite things about it are just the general build quality. It feels very nice and heavy in my hands. It's comfortable to hold. All of the buttons, the thumbsticks, the D-pads, the triggers, the bumpers, they all feel very solid and nice and clicky, and it just performs really well. Plus, with all the adjustments you can make, you can really configure this to be as comfortable as possible for you. I also love that you can assign buttons to actions as opposed to just remapping things. Being able to take a screenshot or record a clip with just a click of one of the paddles or one of the face buttons is excellent and really improves on something that's kind of a weakness in the general Xbox software. Also, it's fantastic that this controller is chargeable and I no longer have to spend money on batteries. Now, as for cons, there's just a couple things. The first 2 are rather minor. I don't love that the front of the controller has this grippy texture on it. I actually preferred the nice smoothness of the Series 1. It's not a huge deal, but it just doesn't really add much to the controller, I find. And the second thing is just about the thumbsticks that it gives you access to. Only giving you 1 tall thumbstick and 1 of these domed thumbsticks is very odd to me. I've tried it out and I just can't find any way where having 1 tall thumbstick is comfortable or useful to me. And this domed one is actually really nice. I actually prefer it to the more textured ones, but I only get 1 of them. So I'm not sure why they didn't either pick 1 and give us 2 of them or go with 8 thumbsticks overall. But of course, the biggest con is the price. Whether or not it's worth it for you is really a personal decision. Depends how much money you have and how into controllers you are. So that is all my thoughts on the Xbox Series 2 Elite controller. I hope you enjoyed and that it was helpful. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.